Yes.
Your Honour, may I say a brief word about Judge Ali? My lay clients are here, and also Mrs. Recker is also here. They're happy to meet Judge Ali, and someone on my team can go. I know that my learned friend is going to call Mr. Al-Shufi, and so I'm happy for my clients to be released for that to happen.
Yes.
I'm conscious that he would only be seeing one side at the moment because the claimant's team is tied up here. But I just wanted to make that, if you thought that was useful.
No. I normally in mediation, you see one side, you see the other side.
Yes.
And then you may see the first side, make offers and counter offers, and until finally, and sometimes the judge wants to see the parties without the lawyers.
Yes.
Because he wants the parties to have a free mind, they're free to make a decision, without feeling that the lawyer is watching him or her. So it's up to him how he wants to handle it. I don't want to get involved in that.
Fine.
But he did mention to me that your client was ready to meet him.
Fine.
So I think Aisha is arranging that, direct. Is Aisha arranging that?
I would have to check.
Can you please check? I think Aisha is supposed to arrange that.
Well, I might, if with your indulgence, I might send my client out and send out Mrs. Recker Tourani with the solicitor, and at least that can happen in the background.
Yeah, sure.
And they'll come back, obviously, when they need to give evidence.
This is a civil case. They don't have to be present in court, as the claimant is not present in court. Okay.
I'm grateful those men.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Your Honour, the next witness,
So the next person is
Mr. Firaz Shufi.
I'm sorry.
Take the stand.
Yes.
This one.
My name is Firas Al-Shufi. I live in Dubai, Jumeirah Park, Villa D54, District 6.
That's perfect. Now today you'll be taking an oath.
Yes.
Do you wish to swear on a holy book?
Yes, I do.
Okay, which holy book do you wish
Quran.
to swear on? If you wouldn't mind picking up the Quran with your left hand. If you wouldn't mind reading the oath back to me as I read it to you. I swear by Almighty God
I swear by Almighty Allah
to tell the truth
to tell the truth
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Please direct your testimony to the judge and speak clearly into the microphone at all times. Thank you. Witness is sworn.
Good afternoon, Mr. Al-Shufi. You'll be handed Trial Bundle Volume 1, and if I could ask you to look behind Divider 24
Yes.
and turn to page 106.
Yes.
Can you confirm that that is your signature above the date of 13th July 2018?
Yes, I do.
And are you able to confirm on the oath that you've just given that the facts stated in the witness statement are true to the best of your information?
I confirm.
Thank you.
Can I check how I pronounce your name? Is it Mr. Al-Shufi?
Yes.
Thank you. My learned friend Mr. Taylor said earlier to this court that you're not here to give evidence of UAE law. So today I don't want you to stray into matters of UAE law, please.
I'm here only to give evidence on the facts, only the facts, and I'm not required and I'm not willing to give opinion because as I stated in my statement that I represented Mr. Mahesh Tourani before Dubai courts and I'm still his counselor till this moment. So I'll not give any opinions about that. I'll only restrict my testimony to the facts certain facts have been before Dubai courts.
I'm grateful. Now, you've just touched on an important point. As you know, it's pretty rare for a solicitor to give evidence at a trial, and when they do, normally their witness statement would say that they're not waiving privilege. Your witness statement doesn't say that. Is your client waiving privilege in relation to the matters covered in your witness statement?
Well, I don't actually quite understand what you mean by waiving privilege or what's part of privilege, but my statement is clear regarding certain facts and certain submissions, to be more accurate, before Dubai courts. And that's my statement is about, or this is my testimony about this statement here. So actually, I'm not quite sure what do you mean by waiving the privilege.
Privilege, man. You have a privilege between you and your clients. You can say, I don't want to disclose because there's a privilege between me and the client.
Yes,
the counsel is asking you, can he ask you questions, and you cannot say, I don't want to answer because that's privilege. That is what he's asking you.
If it's out of the scope of this testimony here, I would say, yeah, I will inclinge to my privilege and I will not disclose.
Yeah, but he may want to go on beyond that.
If he wants to go...
cross-examination, he will go on something beyond that.
It depends on the matter. If he asks some personal issues...
So you don't want to waive your privilege, that's what you're saying.
No, I'm not waiving my privilege, no.
Okay.
Your Honour, I rise only because, as of course we're all aware, the privilege is my client's privilege in these proceedings. The concept of privilege is understood differently in onshore Dubai from the common law rules in the DIFC courts, but certainly my client is not waiving privilege by giving his witness.
In light of that, Mr. Al-Shulfi, you shouldn't stray into any areas that cover discussions between you and your client in relation to any of these matters. Because if you do, that will be taken to be a waiver. So I'm just giving you that warning now. Do you understand?
I understand. I'll try to assist this court as much as I can and as briefly and briskly as I can.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you've also referred to brevity. You're here to answer my questions, not to argue the case. Now, when we turn to the documents, there are certain documents where you have given your interpretation of the documents. You recall that?
I don't recall. If you can direct me to the point which I gave an interpretation but not reference to a fact, then
right. Okay. Well, but do you understand the difference between argument and fact?
I do understand the difference between argument and fact, and also that relying heavily on your questions depends on the nature of the question. There are questions cannot be answered by yes or no. So it's up to you totally how you will ask and you will receive the answer.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take you to some of the documents, the references to the documents in your statement. I'd like just to make a general point so that you understand it. I dispute your interpretation of a number of documents in your statement. However, that is a matter of argument, and that is not a matter on which we need to descend into today. Do you understand that?
Well, before going to this introduction, I believe I stated here in 2.2 and 2.3 what am I giving evidence on and what are the particulars which I'm testifying here. I'm testifying in respect of two matters. First, regarding the money advance as per the expert report, the court-appointed expert report, and the matter about changing the positions of defense. Those are the two issues mentioned in my statement.
Right. Well, maybe we'll just deal with
those quickly. If you may
please,
ask me the question.
Let's deal with those quickly. The passages of your statement on the findings of the expert report are based on your reading of the expert report. That's correct, isn't it?
Based on the conclusion reached by the expert and stated in his report, which was submitted to the Dubai courts.
With respect, Mr. Al-Sharif, I'd like you to answer my question. Those passages of your statement are based on your reading of the expert report.
Yes, as per the conclusion of the expert report.
I'm putting down a marker. I'm not going to ask you questions about your interpretation of those documents. That, Marcus, is my learned friend, not for your benefit. If my learned friend disagrees, he'll have to leave part during the course of this examination. Otherwise, I will take those points in closing. Now let's move on to the Dubai proceedings. Those Dubai, I'm going to ask you about the Dubai proceedings involving my clients, Dusty Tourani and Dusty LLC. Now, in paragraph 5.8 of your statement, you accept that the initial position taken by the defendants in those proceedings was that the monies were advanced by way of gift. That's correct, isn't it?
Just a minute, 5.8.
Well,
this one?
Do you not recall, Mr. Al-Shrufi?
I call it just to make sure that I'm answering your question accurately. Yeah, the initial position taken by Dusty before Dubai courts that the money advanced to him was a gift.
If there are areas, Mr. Al-Shrufi, where you can't remember, the appropriate course is not to refer back to your statement to remind yourself. The appropriate course is to tell the court you don't remember. Do you understand?
Well, but if I can, I'll do.
Now, as you say, that was their initial defence. That was also their primary defence at that point as well, wasn't it?
One of their primary defences.
And they maintained that defence, didn't they, throughout the Dubai proceedings?
They changed, and particularly in their submission dated 18th January 2016, they changed that defense to defense of consideration for abandoning the shares in MD Hospitality. Then later on they returned back to that defense. But I can say fairly, among all the proceedings, among other defenses, this was one of the primary defenses.
And it was always there, wasn't it? It was always a point that they were running.
Except for the petition submitted 18th January 2016, it was always there, and among inter alia many other defenses.
So I think the evidence you're giving the court is that your understanding is that the defence was there for quite a bit of it, but there was a period around the 18th of January where it wasn't raised. Is that right?
It's not my understanding. It was there documented before Dubai courts, and their petition dated 18th January 2016, they clearly said that this money was in consideration of abandoning the shares in MD Hospitality.
But they hadn't.
And I can lead you to that petition if you would like, or you can lead me to that petition and I can show it to you word by word.
Yes, but they hadn't withdrawn their initial document, had they?
If I understand correctly your question, that did they withdraw the defense of gift? No, they did not withdraw the defense of gift, but they, at a certain point of time, especially on 18th January 2016, they insisted on the consideration. Later on, yes, you are right, they went back to their initial defense of gift.
So let's just clarify that. Their initial defence was a gift.
Yes.
That remained an issue in the proceedings, didn't it? To be determined.
Yes.
But the point you're making to me is that on the 18th of January, they pursued another additional defence,
Yes.
which was this defence of deemed compensation.
Yes.
I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. And one more thing, also among their initial defense, and if I'm not mistaken about the date, December 2015, there were many passages or paragraphs in their petition. One of them referred to the gift defense, and the other one was referring to shares in Jabal Ali, a free zone company, in the same petition, at the same petition itself. But to crystallize their defense, it was crystallized as it's a consideration or a compensation, was more clearly, undoubtedly mentioned in 18th January 2016 petition. That's when, let me put it that way, the peak of the consideration or compensation defense took place in that petition. And before that petition, after that petition, the defense of gift was there.
I'm grateful. Now, you've referred to a few documents. In paragraph 3.3 of your statement, I think you refer to the various you're referring in general terms to the various documents in those proceedings.
Yeah,
And
it's
you said-
true like any other court proceedings, especially before Dubai courts. My friend, I believe you might be aware a little bit about the proceedings there. Mainly before Dubai courts, the proceedings are written submissions. So each hearing, in a bracket hearing, actually is a session. That this session is designated for the claimant reply. Then it will be a written submission. Then the next session, or it's a hearing, whatever you want to call it, will be for the reply to that also in writing. So in each session, it's one of the parties submitting written documents, unless the session is fixed, for example, to make a commentary on expert report. So both parties submit their written commentary on a certain thing.
Okay,
so it's not like here, it's not like
Yeah.
argument, and
Yeah,
there is no room there. It's only written submissions.
I understand that, but I just wanted to pick up on. I mean, you've been very clear. These written documents that we're talking about, and you refer to in your statement, are submissions, aren't they?
Yes.
It may not be a distinction in the Dubai courts, but do you understand the distinction in this court between submissions and evidence?
Yes, I do.
The documents you're referring to, none of them are witness statements by my clients, are they?
It was made by his lawyers on his behalf. In the civil cases in Dubai courts, the claimant or the defendant are not required to attend, and they hardly,
No, but
I see any party attends. It's only lawyers who attend
Sure.
and submit the petitions on behalf of their clients.
Sure, but can you just answer my question, which is that these are not, the documents you're referring to are not witness statements.
No, they are not witness statement. They are submissions from their lawyers.
They're lawyers' submissions.
Yes.
I'm grateful. Now, your evidence, the passages of your witness statement that address the changing case are based on these submissions, aren't they?
Yes.
And they're only based on these submissions. There's not any other evidence.
Yes.
And they're based on you reading these submissions and interpreting them. That's correct, isn't it?
Based on reading, there is no other way of interpreting. The words are clear.
Fine.
I can
Well,
take you to that submission
Sure.
now, and I can read it loudly, and I see if you have different interpretation of what I read.
Okay, well that's, you see, where we descend into argument, and the judge will rightly tell me off if I do that. I'm not going to argue with you about what those documents mean. I'm putting down another marker for Mr. Taylor, but I'm not going to examine you on that. So, Mr. Al-Sharifi, I'm not going to examine you on that.
I understand
deal
you,
with that
my
in
friend,
closing.
but if you may be kindly enough to let me just explain one thing.
Well,
English
but-
is not my first language, so the word interpretation in my mind as a second language for me means that there are different versions of readings. So that's why, while in Arabic, which is my mother tongue language, interpretation is different from reading. Reading is when there is no dispute about the meaning of a sentence. But interpretation when there are dispute about the meaning of the sentence. So just I wanted to inform you this, to tell you that I'm not arguing with you. I'm not trying to plead any case here. Otherwise, I would not commission a DIFC lawyers to do it. But just to clarify this about the meaning of the word interpretation.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarification. I'm not going to get into, my learned friend, Mr. Taylor, understands, I'm not going to get into debating with you what these documents mean. That's a conversation I'll have with the judge in closing. So let's move on from that topic. And just finally, there's a short passage in your statement which deals with the Dubai Court of Appeal judgment in case 486 of 2016.
What's the number of that passage, please?
Paragraph 6.
Oh yeah, that's the car case.
Yes. Now, as I understand the position, I just wanted to clarify it. Those passages of your statement are based on the Court of Appeal judgment that you refer to.
Yes,
They're based solely on the Court of Appeal judgment.
yes.
There are no other documents that you say the court needs to see in order to understand those passages of your statement?
No, only the Court of Appeal judgment is enough.
Well,
and I
okay.
believe I included that in my statement as one of the documents.
You did.
The judgment with its translation.
And that's the final marker I'm going to lay down for my learned friend. Again, I'm not going to debate with you what that Court of Appeal judgment means. I can deal with that in closing. On that basis, I have no further questions.
I appreciate that.
Your Honour, in relation to the markers laid down by my learned friend, I have one point of clarification. In that is whether it is accepted that the English translations of the documents are accurate.
That's not a point that my learned friend's raised with me before. It's plainly not a question for this witness, because he's not here to give evidence on the translations. I can check that at my end. Surely we should be able to agree translations if there are any issues about the translation. So perhaps if I can take that point away, and I will get instructions, and if I have an issue with the translation...
What you saying, Mr.
It's this, Your Honour, and this, of course, is a problem very frequently faced by this court.
Yes.
Which is that all of the discussion here
Yes.
of UAE laws,
Yes.
which are written in Arabic,
Yes.
takes place in English.
Yes.
Sometimes we're fortunate on the court to have members of the judiciary who are able to read and write Arabic, but just as my learned friend is laying down markers, it's one thing to say, well, there is fact and there is argument and there's interpretation, but exactly where one begins and the other ends is difficult. And in this case, what the practice of this court is to seek to get translations where we're working in English to identify that the translations are accepted as being broadly accurate. So what I don't want to be confronted with is arguments saying, no, the translations that have been produced by this witness of fact as evidence, and even where he, a legal practitioner for present purposes, is perfectly fine to introduce documents in evidence. In this case, of course, he's not giving expert evidence on linguistic translations, but he is a witness of fact whose native spoken and read and written language is Arabic.
Yes.
He has given his evidence in English,
Yes.
and he's based it on the English translations of the Arabic documents.
Is there any specific problem that you are having or foresee will happen? Any specific?
Absolutely.
What is it?
And that's this.
Can you be specific?
Is that my client's case is that as a matter of fact, they changed the case being advanced by the lawyers, acting on their powers of attorneys, for one in which they said there was consideration for the payments that my client made. Now, that, as far as I'm concerned, if what my learned friend is going to seek to do is to try and interpret that fact out of it based on arguments, then we need to be very, very clear about what factual allegations he's accepting, because I think...
it's the allegation by the defense, as I can understand it, is in lieu of I giving up my shares in Pasture, that this is treated as a gift up, and that is the consideration for treating the Dusty loan, the Dusty restaurant loan, as a contract, in consideration for me giving up the shares. So, but where is
Your Honour, that's just, if I may pause you there. What Your Honour has just described is undoubtedly a question of legal argument and interpretation. In other words, can you have a gift with consideration? That's a matter of the legal argument. What's a matter of fact is that the facts which are evidenced by these submissions include the factual allegation that the payments which they're saying are a gift, and true it may be, that they've not formally abandoned their defence of gift at any point.
Yes.
But they are saying, as a matter of fact, at this point in time, they were saying, we gave up our shares in return for this money. And that's fact. Now, whether that is inconsistent with an argument that it's a gift, whether it can't be a gift, or whether it's a gift with consideration, or whatever that is all matter for legal submission. But what I want to be clear is that my learned friend is not going to try and interpret away through saying that the translations aren't accurate or this didn't happen.
No,
That brute fact.
I'm going to go on this basis. In these documents, there are already translations.
There are.
And unless those translations had been challenged earlier, I would treat that as good translation. It's too late now to challenge.
I'm obliged, Your Honour, because
It's too late to be challenged now.
that is the
You
right
should have
thing.
challenged at the case management stage and say this translation is incorrect. But it's here, it's too late now. I'll just accept what is the translation here as the correct translation.
Well, Your Honour, yes, and the witness's evidence in English is given based on those translations.
Yeah.
So I think Your Honour's exactly right.
Yes.
I'm grateful.
Yes. I didn't write what I ruled, but I assume the transcriber has recorded is correct. It's too late telling now. You're spelling now. You should have challenged. Excuse me, Mr. Okay, I will accept that as a correct translation. Okay, that's correct, right?
I wasn't raising an objection on the translation.
Okay.
So I'm content. I have no further questions, Your Honour.
Okay, thank you. Next witness.
Your Honour, I have no questions of
Yeah.
examination.
No cross-examination, no response, no re-examination. Next witness. Now yeah, you're finished here. You can go off now. You're finished. So now is defense case, huh?
Yes.
My name is Dusty Tourani and I live in Emirates Hills, Villa V21, Dubai.
Please follow what I say. I swear by what I believe
I swear by what I believe
to tell the truth
to tell the truth
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
And you may see. Please direct your testimony to the judge and speak for his life. The witness is sworn, Your Honour.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Tourani, there are two documents in the trial bundle where you have sworn a statement of truth. I'm going to take you to those and just check that you're content that those documents are correct. The first is the defendant's amended defence, which you'll find in Bundle 1, tab 10.
Wait a minute. I got only one here. Where is the first one you had mentioned?
Bundle 1, tab 10, Your Honour.
don't have a tab 10 here. The last tab I have here is 5. Then it goes to file 2.
I think it should be bundle 1, Your Honour.
Bundle 2. Witness Firas Al-Sufi. Can you help me, please?
Bundle 1, trial bundle 1, tab 10.
This is bundle 1. Tab 2.
10.
Yes, 10. 5. I got this one. Tab 25. I got tab 25. I don't know what's his name? I got witness statement 5-2. Sharma, Shafi, Firas Shafi. I don't have Azmi Tourani's name there. Can you ask what's his name was Reka, because Reka, Aisha, because she took the files back, the files back out yesterday, because I took back some of this.
Your Honour, we have a spare unmarked
Okay.
file 1.
Okay. Well, that means I've not read that. Okay, don't worry, just go ahead. It means I have not read this particular 10, okay, 10. Okay, let's move. Amended defense. No, there is defense.
Now this is a document where you've signed a statement of truth. I understand that there's some minor factual corrections you want to make. I just want to take you to the relevant paragraphs.
Yes.
The first is
Wait a
paragraph
minute. 10, did you say 10?
10, yes I did.
This is
Tab 10, page 22.
defense. Page 22.
Page 22. Is it the amended defence, Your Honour?
Yeah, are you talking about the defense?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I see. I thought you were talking about the statements.
No, I'm about to take him to the
Okay,
statement.
okay. Go on.
But I understand my witness wants to make some factual corrections to this
Okay,
document.
what are they?
The first is in paragraph 4, in the second sentence, I understand.
Mrs. Rekha Tourani got married in Feb 2005.
I understand there's another one in paragraph 4b.
It wasn't really at the claimant's request, it was more of a family discussion.
And 4c,
The same.
and paragraph 5.
I think the marriage broke down acrimoniously in August. More accurate.
And then I understand you had something to say about the first sentence of paragraph 9 as well.
The payments were done from November 2014 all the way to August, if memory serves me correctly, 2015.
Mr. Tourani, save for those corrections, if you turn to the last page of that tab, page 26, are the facts stated in this document true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
And that is your signature?
Yes.
Mr. Tourani, when you're directing your questions, can you direct them to the judge?
Yes.
Just make sure that they're loud enough, because it's a little bit difficult to hear you. Let's go to your statement, which you'll find in the same bundle at tab 25. Have you found that? There's someone here to help you if you're struggling.
Yes, I have it here.
And I understand you have one correction here at page 35. Sorry, paragraph 35, apologies.
Yes, it's in line 3. When the claimant returned, it was probably in August, not in July.
Right. And if you now go to the end of the document, page 116, is that your signature?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge and belief, are the contents of this statement true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. My learned friend has some questions for you.
Your Honour, just before I begin my questions, what my learned friend has just done, and I make no criticism of this, is that because the amended statement of defence is verified by a statement of truth, he's quite rightly asked his client to make the factual corrections which he wishes to have made. It may be a little pedantic, but it is still a defence, and what I think that the defendants should do, and I don't resist that they should do it at all, but is simply to serve a re-amended defence which contains those changes in it, because they're not insubstantial. My learned friend has said that's absolutely fine, but Your Honour has my point.
You are saying that it should be formally done by way of filing an amended
A re-amended statement.
re-amended statement.
Not re-re, it's only re.
But you're waiving that right.
No, I'm saying, and what my learned friend has very kindly done, I am saying fine. They can have leave to do that, but please will they do it? And they've said yes, they'll do that.
They will do it but later. Okay.
That's
They will formally do it later.
Indeed.
Okay.
I'm grateful for
Mr.
that.
Sheriff, you do that formally.
I'm
file.
content to do so.
So, good afternoon,
Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Tourani. Would you mind if I call you Dusty? It just makes it
Absolutely no issue. Yes,
not confused with member of the
absolutely.
it's being talked about. You begin your witness statement, which you have open in front of you, I take page 107, by saying that you are the manager of the second defendant, which is Dusty's LLC.
Yes.
Does that mean that you are the manager on the trade license?
I'm an authorized signatory on the trade license, and that's all it shows. So on the trade license, it just has.
It's just your name.
Yes. No. I also have someone else's name on the trade license.
Who is that?
Miss Hilda D'Souza.
Hilda D'Souza.
Yeah.
On the trade license.
Yes.
And that's a DIFC trade license.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And there isn't a separate Department of Economic Development trade license.
No.
You don't need one.
No, I don't need one.
Why is Hilda D'Souza on it?
It was done for her visa reasons. I couldn't keep her in the country unless because of her age.
Because she's over
Yeah.
65.
Yeah.
And under local law, if you are a household employee over 65, you're not entitled to
Correct.
to remain.
Yes.
So that's good.
Please explain to me what's going on. I'm not following
So,
well.
apologies for this. What I put next to Mr. Tourani is it's been in evidence that in 2016 he transferred his shares in Dusty LLC to his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Here, LLCs will all require trade licenses if they're carrying out economic activities in what we call onshore Dubai. They will typically need that trade license from the DED, the Dubai Department of Economic Development.
So now,
And what Dusty has just confirmed to the court is that he is designated as the manager on the DIFC trade license, because it only operates within the DIFC, that's all that's required, and that the other person designated as the manager is a Mr. Souza, who was a household employee because she has reached the magic age of 65, under UAE immigration law, domestic servants have to go home at 65, and this prevents her from having to go home. Does she in fact do anything in the business, or is this just to enable her to stay?
She does assist with the cleaning staff, so she does come in once in a while,
Right.
but it's not her primary role.
But in terms of having to sign for Dusty's as the manager, you're able to do that under your sole signature, are you?
Yes, yes.
Now, I'm going to go a little bit into your background because I think Your Honour will want to know a little bit more about your
Sure.
education, your family background, and the experience that you've had in the food and beverage
Absolutely.
industries. And I may come back to some of the earlier things. So you were born on the 14th of July, 1988.
Yes.
So you just celebrated your 30th birthday last
Yes.
year. Your biological father was Lalichand Mahtani.
Yes.
And you note that your name in the claim form is said to be Dusty Lalichand Mahtani Tourani. And I think what we've established is that in your passport today, your given name is Dusty, your family name is Tourani,
That's correct.
but that when it's necessary to give details of your legal guardian or parent, that you still include the names of your biological father.
Yes, only if it is required to do so with biological father.
Yes. And one example that we have seen, and this is not yet formally in the record, but I don't think it's contested, is that on your UAE residence visa, which one I'm looking at here expired on the 21st of December 2012, but your name is there given as Dusty Lalichand Mahtani Tourani.
Yes, because it's required to do so. Your biological father needs to be in there.
As part of the name.
Yes.
And then that name will be copied by the side in Arabic.
Yes.
And I think those of us living in Dubai know that sometimes one can have problems if the Arabic
Correct.
and English do not match right. So that's helpfully sorted out that little mystery. Now you go on to say, in paragraph 5, with reference to your biological father, I have very little memory of him. I don't even know what he looks like, as no photos of him were on display when I was growing up. I don't know whether Mr. Mahtani is still alive.
That's correct.
When did you last speak to your father?
I have no memory of it, but from what my mother has told me, I think I was maybe 7 years old. So that was probably it. My last phone call with him.
Right. Now, you would have been 7
Yeah.
in 1995.
Yeah.
And we've seen from your mother's witness statement, which you say you have read, yes, that in 1995 he was in prison in Singapore.
Yes.
Do you know how long he stayed there?
No.
So it's probable that that was about the last time on which you recall speaking to him.
It's possible, yes.
You're aware, of course, that your mother divorced your biological father in 2011.
2001.
I beg your pardon, 2000.
Yes.
So at that time, you would have been what age?
13.
Could the witness be given, please, file 2? Your Honour. I'm going to ask the witness to turn to file 2 at divider 28.
Yes,
File 2. This one. 27, okay. The reason is you see the same file number of the volume is different. 28, did you say?
Yes, behind divider 28.
Yes.
And what this is the judgment decided on the 8th of November 2001 in the Mumbai Family Court at Bandra. This was exhibited to your mother's witness statement. Have you ever read it or seen it before?
not till before I was preparing for this case.
So you read it, you did read it?
Yeah, yeah.
So, in it, your mother makes some very serious allegations about cruelty and mistreatment that she, you and your younger brother, who's approximately 2 years younger,
Yes.
suffered. If you turn to page TB 125 in that,
Yeah.
we see about 6 lines down, about 10 lines down from the top. Do you see where it starts? In July 1990, their second son, Tarun, was born. Do you have that?
You said 10 lines down?
Well, it's maybe one. Let me count.
Yeah,
1,
I have
2,
it.
3,
I have it.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines down. So it was in September 1990 that the couple, i.e. your biological father and your mum, along with their children, shifted to Dubai from Mumbai. So this, do you remember that?
The shift?
Yeah, I think you say in your witness statement that you were you were leaving your school friends in Mumbai.
Sorry, I think you're asking about when he was 2. His witness statement deals with his move to Dubai with Mr. Tourani.
Yeah, you're quite right. I'm sorry, I misdirected you. So, but what it says here is that in September 1990, the couple, along with their children, shifted to Dubai, and as the counsel has just pointed out, you would have been
2.
just 2 at the time, and your brother barely 3 months.
Yes.
The petition goes on to say that, and this is based on an affidavit that your mother had filed in support of the petition, that the respondent, i.e. your biological father, used to ill-treat the children. She goes on to say the respondent used to threaten that he would divorce your mother and throw acid on the children to disfigure them, it seems to say. Pretty horrible. Do you have any recollection?
I was 2. Absolutely not.
And so by the time moving forward, you have, you say, no memories of your father bar a conversation?
Not at all.
So, moving further forward to when you first came to know Mahesh, I would call it.
Yes.
Your mother and he, I think, started dating in around 2000. And you at the time then were?
12. Yeah.
Right. And by the time, moving quickly forward, you came and actually moved to Dubai permanently, you were what age?
2005, so I think I was 17.
And where had you been at school in Mumbai before?
Cathedral, John Convent School.
And where did you go to school when you came to Dubai?
A modern high school.
Say again?
The modern high school.
The modern one.
Yeah.
And you left there aged about 19.
Yes, I believe so.
And what had you done? Did they do an international
It was,
baccalaureate? Or?
No, it was the Indian system. So it was, you either do commerce, which is kind of business studies, or you do science, which is computer graphics and things like that.
And what did you do?
I did commerce.
Commerce.
Yes.
And then you went from there, I think you had a sort of gap here when you were perhaps working in one of your father's businesses, is that right?
No, I didn't have a gap year. When I moved from India to Dubai, I had to repeat the 11th grade. So I did the 11th grade twice, which is why I was a year, that's why I was 19 when I went to college, and not 18.
Right, and you've said, but just tell Your Honour again, what was the course that you...
Your Honor, I did commerce.
At the University of Indiana?
No,
I beg your pardon.
this is in modern high school.
In Malta High School, right.
Yes.
Well, when you graduated from school,
Yes,
at 19,
yes,
you then went from there to the United States of America.
correct.
And aged by this time what?
I think I was 19.
And where and what did you study? That's in the witness statement.
I studied marketing, entrepreneurship, and I did a minor in consumer psychology.
A minor in consumer science.
Yes.
Now, we know that you then had some jobs in food and beverage, and if you'd like to just tell my Honour about this swiftly, it's in your witness statement.
Post graduation. So, Your Honor, when I came back to Dubai, I got a job with the Apparel Group, which is a franchise company, and they had just acquired the brand Tim Hortons, the coffee shop. And at that point, I was pretty young, so I went headfirst into it. And after 2 years, I pretty much climbed the rankings. And I moved from marketing to sponsorship to brand management. And I started to choose the locations for the coffee shop as well. We had about 15 locations when I left.
Was this the Tim Hortons?
Yes.
So, it's a coffee shop. So, let's move on, because I see Ms. Honour wants us to get on to more material things. Put away.
Right, you're going, you should be going to more material things.
Yeah, I will. I
I don't
will.
want to stop you, but
I will accelerate, Your Honour. Can you be given, please, you can put away the file that you just had for a moment, be given file 2.
This is fancy. Yeah.
And turn to divider 57. When Your Honour has that, this is the business plan.
yes.
So you have page 229.
Yes.
It's a business plan document by Dusty Tourani. You're described as the owner and operator. And there, at this stage, you were the owner of all of the shares in Dusty's LLC, were you?
The company was not formed yet. This is part of the process to get approval to form the company.
So this is a forward-looking statement, is it?
Yes, it's required by the DIFC.
and what we know is that Dusty's LLC came to be incorporated in
Yes.
February 2015. If you can turn now to the last page of your business plan. It says that the business will be owned, managed and funded by Mr. Dusty Tourani, CD attached. He has multiple years' experience from fast food, coffee shops, nightclubs and fine dining restaurants in the UAE.
Yes.
Now, we've covered Tim Hortons, the other major food and beverage venture that you were involved in, which you referred to in your witness statement, was the Pasha enterprise.
Yes.
I'm not going to go into the ownership and operation at this stage. Save for this is that you say that in your own witness statement that the Pasha business went seriously over budget.
Yes.
What control did you have over the budget and expenditure in Pasha?
Absolutely zero. I had no control.
So this was what were you doing?
When I was at Tim Hortons, I mainly did a lot of corporate stuff. So I managed the locations, I managed marketing, things like that. But when I went into Pasha, I wanted to see the other side of the spectrum. So I started to get into the more technical side of it, which was hiring of the staff, doing the fit out, understanding the MEP process, dealing with the landlord. So it was in order for me to gain a holistic understanding of the F&B business. That's why I kind of chose to go down that route. So along with Tim Hortons and Pasha, I would have a serious understanding of the business.
So you said at one point in your witness statement that when it came to the running
Yes.
of Dusty's and doing the fit out, doing contractors, that largely apart from my side, your father left you to it.
He was, yes, he left me to it, yes.
So look, I appreciate that when you say you have multiple years' experience in fast food and coffee shops, that multiple could be anything.
In this case, it was probably 4, yeah,
4.
if you count Tim Hortons. Yeah.
So I just want to get in some sense about what you knew about the economics of running a restaurant business. You were aware of the rental costs.
Yes.
How many covers does the restaurant have?
Are you talking about Dusty's?
Talking about Dusty's.
Right now we do about 800 to 700 covers a week.
700 to 800 covers a
Yes.
week. And you
700-800 covers. What does that mean?
That's packs, Your Honor. How many people come through the door?
700-800.
It can range from just buying one coffee to a full meal.
Or persons. You're going by persons.
Yes, persons.
Rather customers.
Yes.
Yeah, my understanding, Your Honour, is that cover is the sort of customer unit throughput of a food and beverage establishment, which you measure by week, by month.
It depends on the business. We have daily reports, monthly reports, weekly reports. So it's totally
And
depends.
You've got some sort of F&B software system that allows you to run these reports.
Yeah, there are systems available, but the easiest way is to have your hostesses at the door count physically as they come in and seat the guests.
And then you've indicated in your business plan that the sort of price point that you're looking at is trying to bridge a gap between Zuma and Petit Maison at the
Top.
high end of the market, Your Honour, and then if you're lucky enough to spend your lunchtime in Germany there, and fast food. So you are aiming at around 400 a head.
For dinner with alcohol, yes.
And do you break down what you make on the alcohol and what you make on the food and beverage?
Yeah, we do have a food split, food and beverage split it's called. So an ideal scenario would be 50-50, which is probably what the most successful restaurants have, but we're more of a 70-30 split.
70 on the beverage
Yes.
side, 30 on the food.
Yes.
But your margins on the alcohol are pretty.
They are. But most of our money is made, Your Honor, during happy hour, where margins seriously suffer.
Right. But just to get some scale of this, because one of the things, as you know, we don't have here is that we don't have any of the current management accounting or statutory accounting or anything else
Yes.
that Dusters LLC. So what His Honour was trying to get a handle on, he was asking you launched in June 2015.
Yes.
I mean, by the way, congratulations on
Thank you.
still doing business now, and commiserations on other things that were going on in your life. But June, you had a soft opening, you were doing tastings.
I think we opened the doors 7th or 9th of June, if memory serves me correctly.
And when did you, was that a soft opening?
No, so when we open the doors means people pay to come in.
June, probably you were only just coming out of Ramadan 2015. weren't you?
Going into Ramadan. Yeah.
So July was pretty quiet.
Yes. Summer in the DIFC is very quiet. So we struggle throughout June, July, and August every year. It's a disaster.
Your rent checks, however, were covered.
Yes.
Remind us how many rent checks were covered in terms of a period of time.
The claimant paid all my rent.
So it was essentially rent
For 3 years from June.
So 3 years.
Yes.
I mean, I imagine that rental costs are second only to staff costs, or the highest item?
Yes, correct.
Second to staff costs.
Second to staff cost.
So let's shift it on.
Wait, your rentals, are they paid monthly or annually?
They paid 2 checks a year.
6 monthly.
So, yes, 6 monthly. Yes, Your Honor.
So we know that shortly after Dusters LLC was established corporately, you've got one or more bank accounts with Mashrek.
Yes.
You're the signatory on those accounts.
Yes.
Those are the operating accounts of the business. And you were here when Balraj gave evidence. Do you agree that what was happening, and I'm paraphrasing it, is that the funding initially was coming largely through the joint account, and until Dusters was established corporately, the fitters, the builders, and all that were being paid by cheques signed by your father from the joint account?
Yes.
And those outgoings were recorded in the ledger that Balraj kept.
Yes, that was his record.
His record.
Yes.
And that when there came a time that you had your own operating account in Mashrek, he's explained that he really just kept the records in the same ledger. He didn't open a new ledger when Dusters LLC established its own account. He just kept putting it in the
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure how he maintained
You
his.
didn't get that close, you're saying?
No, I mean when August came around, it was clear that we were not communicating with each other. So after that, there was no communication between me and Balraj at all.
Well, one of the things which His Honour, I'm sure, will have noted about the changes that you've made to your witness statement, your amended defence,
Yes.
is that you're now honing down as to the time when matters became acrimonious between your parents.
Yes.
And that is now pretty firmly orientated as being in the second 2 weeks of August of 2015.
Yes.
And you recall that your father had gone to London
He was traveling. I'm not sure where he went.
And then you explained that he returned.
Yeah.
And one of the corrections you made is that you think that it would have been in August 2015 that he came back.
Yes.
Now, so fairly quickly thereafter, you stopped from Dusty's. I mean, you heard Balraj talk about the finance department, so which sounds rather grand. What do you have in terms of your own internal bookkeeping at Dusty's?
I have a finance manager who deals with my expenses, daily expenses, the incomes. So
And that's in-house.
that's in-house, yes.
And he had been liaising with Balraj.
Yes, initially, because when he was hired, he had to catch up on a lot of items, so which is why they were communicating constantly.
But Balraj has explained that even though he could see, he had been told to make sure that the joint account from which monies would be drawn was sufficiently funded at any given time to make sure that checks don't bounce.
Yes,
Right? And we all know that when checks bounce in Dubai, bad things can happen.
yes,
So he had no visibility, however, I think, of your, you just described the MEP, which I'm sure Your Honour is familiar with as mechanical, electrical and plumbing. You had fit-out, builders, main contractor. Did you deal with all that yourself?
yes, I did deal with everything myself. But Raj would have no idea.
Right. And do you accept, not get into the detail, but that the overall costs of fit-out, the fit-out bit of it, and you knew the rent, yes?
Yes,
You knew the key money.
yes.
Key money was $1 million.
Key money was 3.5 million.
3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not that it matters, but His Honour was asking about it. Was your understanding that remind me what had Dusty's been called beforehand?
It was a coffee shop called Mozan. It was owned by the landlord's son.
Owned by the landlord's son.
Yes.
And I may be jumping about a bit here, but we can cover this quickly. You say that you had negotiations with both. I mean, the landlord is Mr. Al Fatah,
Yes.
who is a skier of a prominent
Yes.
UAE family, and you're saying that his son had that coffee shop.
Yes.
So the key money, in your understanding, was going to the landlord's son, was it?
Correct.
So the same family pocket, perhaps. Right. In terms of covering your annual operating expenses, you've got the monies that have been advanced to you, on which you have no interest to pay. You don't have to service those. There's no cost to the business of that capital. Do you understand my question?
No, can you repeat that?
So we know that the debate here is you say it was given to you, and my client says the monies were lent to you, but he was not charging interest to the business.
There was no talk of interest. There was no need for talk of interest. It was clearly gifted.
So in terms of your operational expenditure,
Yes.
you didn't have to, your cost of funds for capital and fit out was zero.
Yes.
Your cost of rent for 3 years was zero.
Yes.
And what do you think you'll say by the spring, the high season, say, of 2016? What do you reckon your monthly turnover would do? What were you taking from your average monthly approximately?
Turnover? I mean, it would change every year, but if you're talking about peak season, we would probably hit about 800, 900,000
So
before taxes.
So taxes, you've got what, a DIFC tax,
Yeah.
and you've now got VAT?
Now VAT, yes.
Right, which is what?
15% total.
Altogether?
Yeah.
So are you saying that 800 to 900 a month peak
Would be the revenue coming
gross
in.
revenue, including taxes?
Yes, and peak, that would be peak time.
And roughly what's your operating profit margin after staff and supplies? Food.
Do I need to get into this? Because I'm literally giving you my
Answer the question.
My lord, can I just intervene? It may be that there's some commercial sensitivity about it because it is an operating business and there is competition. I have no issue with the question being asked, but it may be that if the client's concerned about commerciality, then there's some other way in which he can give an answer without giving away his business secrets.
Well, just a rough figure.
I'm happy for
I
him
mean,
to write it on a bit of paper and give it
I
to
mean,
Your Honour.
if somebody knows that he's getting 1 million, 2 million per month, is how he runs the business. I mean, he's not disclosing how he runs the business. He's just disclosing an account. I go and do a search on his, at his file. When he files the accounts, I can know how much profit he makes.
Your Honour, we wish.
You can't do that here.
Well, it depends. In the PIFC, and if they file accounts, you can. Onshore, forget about it. Unless you've got a power of attorney from the shareholders.
Oh, you cannot get it. Okay, anyway, just give a rough idea.
So,
I mean, this is important for the defense.
Okay.
That's for the claimant. They want to know how much profit.
Can you repeat the question?
So, what is your average monthly gross revenue?
He has already mentioned. Well, 800.
At peak.
At
Spring.
peak,
At
yes.
peak. Okay, so it may be a bit lower than that.
I mean, if you want to get to the bottom line, I can just tell you how much money I lost in 15, 16. Would that help? Instead of breaking it down.
No, because I'm trying to get, and you'll be very helpful.
Yes.
Right? Because this is about how to run a business. His Honour is a distinguished lawyer, had a career in business as well, so he does understand this stuff. What this comes to is this. You say that you were given this money,
Yes.
and you say in your witness statement that, look, if you thought that you'd had to pay it back all of a sudden, you knew you could never do that in one go, right? So I'm paraphrasing, do you agree that that's what you say?
The idea of paying it back never arose until August 2015 when I realized I was being sued.
Well, we know that in August 2015, Mahesh did demand repayment. He did it in September by commencing a case in Dubai courts, which my learned friend said we lost all the way. He very fairly corrected himself by saying that we lost only on what turned out to be a jurisdiction fight. It's wound up here for that reason. But my client's case is that this was a loan, that it was lent to you because you were trying to set yourself up in business. You had been brought up and educated to do that. But he says that it was an amount to be paid on him making a reasonable demand. Right? Now, you say that he demanded it for the first time in September 2015.
Yes.
If yes, you, of course, saying that it was a gift, you didn't say, well, I'll need time to pay, did you? You didn't say, I can't pay it back now, I will need time.
I didn't say anything. We were in the middle of a very stressful situation at that point. this case was not the only case that was filed on my family, the three of us.
No, let's move now then to a different subject
Yeah.
about that, because you were here in court yesterday when your counsel opened the case, and he said this. Perhaps I should start by making in public and on record a statement on behalf of my client about this case. This case relates to a man that my client has called his dad since he was a boy. He is extremely sad to be in litigation with him, and although he feels that this claim is without a foundation, it is with great reluctance that he's being pushed into a fight. So you're saying it's your father that's pushing him into this fight?
Yes, I'm trying to defend myself.
He's always trying to be a respectful and dutiful son, and he's sorry to have even a cross word to say about his father. He accepts and prays in aid that his father was extremely generous with him and looked after him throughout his childhood. Now, that was a statement by your counsel on your behalf because you're his client.
Yes.
What you may be able to say, he can't, is to think with the same respect and not wishing to say a bad word against your father. Does that run for your brother, younger brother, as well? You both. If the answer is no,
Yes,
you
of
may
course.
not say so.
Of course.
Now, you may not be aware of some of these things, and I can ask your mother about if she is or not. But it was evident, discussed yesterday, that around the 30th of August of 2015, Tamimis, your lawyers, had a legal demand notarized at Dubai courts, and that they communicated this to your father, who was at the time, he said in London, who would have received it by honour about 60. This is the key point. Are you aware of that legal demand and what was being demanded in it?
Yes, I was aware of what was happening.
In broad terms, what was being demanded on behalf of your mother in that letter to Mahesh? If you're not aware, by all means say so.
I'll say this much, Your Honor. The gist of it was we were told by Dad after he came back from London that he called me and my brother into the room, the office in the house, and he basically said that he wants both of us and my mother to be out of the house within a week. And as we are aware that our credit cards have been cut, and
just pausing you there.
yes,
It's not the question that I asked you.
yes,
I asked you as to whether you were aware of what was demanded.
Why don't you put it to him and ask him to agree or not?
Well, certainly. In broad terms, your mother was seeking the transfer of 50% of my client's business empire. Broad terms.
no, I believe that's not correct. She had her name in some assets, and she wanted her share of those assets only.
I think it's better than I address it with your mother, but let's, as a matter of background, were you also aware that during July 2015, your mother, with Tamimis acting for her, and with my client, the previous lawyer, Mr. Tourani, had negotiated the terms of a draft divorce settlement agreement? Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of the details, but I'm aware there was some discussion that happened.
Well, then I'm not going to ask you What was it? Do you know anything that she was going to get in that settlement?
She probably did discuss a few things with me, but I cannot recall at this time. Or any time. I just don't remember.
Bentley flying car? Probably not a very good description.
Yeah.
That was one of the things.
Oh,
You don't know?
no. When you say Bentley, I just think of the case.
Right, no, well, if you don't know, you don't know. Valuable jewellery, properties, you don't know?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I actually don't remember.
Did you know at the time?
Sorry?
Were you aware at the time?
I know there was some discussion that had happened, but I don't remember the details of what was being discussed. So, if you ask me, do you know what he was giving or something like that, I have no memory of that.
No memory of it? Okay. Well, do you agree that it was around this, we all seem to agree, that the second half of August 2015 was when things got extremely difficult between
Yes.
your mother
Yes.
and my client. And thereafter, it said there are a series of cases being filed, and you referred to the Dubai Court of First Instance case begun in September, which, as far as you was concerned, that came out of blue sky, did it? You said that you'd had requests for the money before that?
Not a request. I mean, we expected something to come in because in August, Balraj had started sending us 4 or 5 emails per day with maybe 8 attachments in each email stating the same sentence again and again. Please confirm loan amount. Please confirm loan amount. So at that point, we realized something was...
So that's when you say that he, on your case, that's when you say that he first said the loan. You talk about stopping the credit cards. There was a discussion this morning with Balraj. So you had what from your father's credit card? You had an authorised user card of...
I believe there were 2 supplementary cards. One was of Rack Bank and one was of Emirates NBD, a Skywards card, credit cards.
And
They had my name on it and I would swipe them as I please.
as an authorised user.
Yes.
And it was these that he was stopping at around this time.
Yes.
And were you aware of him having any discussions about joint accounts, which might otherwise have been emptied out?
No.
But it was then that he stopped the free expenditure.
Yes.
Now, apart from the case that he started against you, do you remember that on the 5th of October 2015, your mother filed a case accusing Mahesh of threatening to kill her?
Vaguely.
You vaguely remember a case in which the man you call your father was accused of threatening to kill your mother, and you were a witness in that case. Were you not? You don't remember that? That's wrong. You don't remember that?
No, not clearly.
Not clearly.
There were a lot of cases. There were heated exchanges. There were many complaints that were
Well,
filed.
let's take them one at a time, shall we?
Yeah.
And not all of them. Mahesh is declared innocent. On the 12th of October 2015, your mother was accused by Mahesh of striking an elderly aunt. You were a witness to your mother in that case. And you say that she didn't strike an elderly
Yes.
aunt, but that the elderly aunt struck her.
I remember the accusations that were brought against my mother and which were untrue, and that was what I had said in court or at the public prosecution.
stand defending your mother, but were you also saying that it was an LDR that hit your mother?
I don't remember that part, but
I see. So
Can we reverse a bit? You were saying just now on the second half of August 2015, what's the name of the gentleman earlier? Your manager, your father's manager?
Balraj.
Huh?
Balraj.
Barraj. Yeah. He was sending you emails, many emails every day, and then demanding, please confirm loan amount.
Yes.
Did you respond to them?
Not immediately. We did take advice from our lawyers and then we did respond.
How did you respond?
The gist of it was we said that we're surprised to hear that you are now claiming this as a loan, as we are clear that this is a gift.
Okay, thank you.
"29th of February 2016, and it comes round once every 4 years. You and your mother were co-claimants making a complaint. I don't know to which police station. Where do you normally go to make your criminal complaint? Burdubai?
Al-Barsha.
You go to Al-Barsha. And you accused Mahesh, again, of threatening to kill your mother. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that. And it never reached court, did it?
I don't remember.
The police dismissed it. You don't remember it?
No. Can I say something, Your Honor?
Please do.
At this time in 2015, maybe for about a year from August, it was absolutely very stressful for us. There were multiple claims, multiple.
Well, let's not, I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
Because as we've just agreed, multiple claims, it's an adjective you use for 4 years experience in coffee shops and on F&B job and failed enterprise. So I'm talking about specific claims. What I'm going to ask you is this. Do you think, in the light of your having, to the extent you can remember it, once been a witness in a case accusing Mahesh of attempting to murder your mother, which was dismissed by the courts, and again, only a few months later, trying to make that accusation as a co-complainant, which got nowhere, does that really fit with the description of your counsel, of my client as a man who's extremely sadly in litigation with his dad, as you say you call him? He's always trying to be a respectful and a dutiful son. He's sorry to even have a cross word to say about his father. No.
No, it does not fit, but at that time we were extremely scared and stressed with what was going on in our lives.
Can I say
It was done more of protection than anything else.
it sounds like a horrible experience for all concerned.
As much as I try and explain, it's difficult to understand.
Now, the next subject that I think I want to take you to is what you have to say about the cases that we say your lawyers were saying in the cases they were defending in Dubai courts and what they're saying here. And in your witness statement, just close my file, give me 1 second.
At the end of the day, I would like to meet your transcriber onto the house doing can be dropped by mail.
You turn to paragraph 25 of your witness statement. Do you recall that? Do you want to just read that to refresh your memory?
Yeah. Sorry, what were you referring to again? Sorry?
We're in the witness's own witness statement,
Your witness statement, okay.
which is, I think, Your Honour has
Yeah, I
said
got
it,
it.
and it's paragraph 25,
Paragraph 25, okay.
which is on page 6 of the witness statement. Remember that?
Yes.
Again, learned counsel on your behalf asked a similar question to Balraj, which I thought he was very fair about. Were these your words? We as lawyers understand that lawyers prepare witness statements and they try and put them into their clients' own words as best they can. But was this something that you wrote yourself?
No. It was my understanding of it.
So, one of the things you say is that it's without waiving privilege in any legal advice, which my learned friend pointed out was not a similar statement that had been made by Faraz, but it's been made to protect your privilege in your discussions with police, and I'm not going to ask you about your discussions with your lawyers, but what you say is that your father, paragraph 4.5, and Mr. Al-Shufi at 5.4 and 5.5, which you just believe were there when he was questioned about this morning, had said that you understand that the documents they refer to are submissions filed by my and the second defendant's Dubai lawyers on the correct legal analysis under UAE law of the money's advanced. That's something that I imagine your lawyers have told you that's what they are. Is that right?
Yes.
Without. You can't comment on the correct analysis. It's a matter of UAE law. We understand that. It's a complicated subject. Consumer psychology doesn't come into it.
Exactly.
Right? But what you do say is that obviously it's a matter for the UAE lawyers as to how they set the case up, and then last and most importantly you say, however, there's been no change on my part as to what happened as a matter of fact.
Can I explain? Can I explain?
Please.
Your Honor, the concept at this point in my life was to set me up in business. The initial first try was with Pasha, which did not work out. Even when we exited Pasha, I was told to carry on working there as the exit was happening because I had to commit. I had committed and I was to complete my commitments. And the exact words that Dad had used were, "I do not want you to be on board the Titanic when it goes down." Hence, I was told to resign after and look for something on my own. So the concept was to set me up. So the fact that Pasha did not work out, which is why we ventured into Dusty's. If Pasha had worked out and it was successful, Dusty's probably wouldn't have happened.
Well, Dusty, what you just performed, if you watch Fox TV, is what's called a pivot, right? Because I was not asking you about Pasha. But since you've raised it, I will. You say that you made to work out your commitment there and then you resign. So you understood that you're now not a kid anymore, just turned 30, scared
Yeah.
of you. But that when you get into business, as you were, you make commitments, and that it isn't the world of just being given wonderful sports cars, fabulous parties, and fancy watches. What have you got on today?
Nothing.
Well, now, very wise. So, what I do want you to focus on, and let me, since you've mentioned Pasha, let me ask one thing about it. Your father has said that he considers that the overspend at Pasha was in large part to do with you. You've just told him this morning you had no control over it.
Yes.
Did you have at least a free spend with prime customers?
No. I left Pasha before it opened.
Before you.
Yes.
And so, what about the fit out and all of the technical things that you said you'd done?
I had a CEO who I had to report to. He signed everything, every single check. I had no spending authority in Pasha.
Well, spending authority is a funny thing, isn't it? Because we've seen and heard from Balraj's evidence that even though you were not a signatory on your father's joint account, that in effect you were, for most of the checks, you were just telling Balraj, need a check for this, and he got it, right?
That's correct.
Was he in the habit of signing blank checks?
Who, Dad? No. Never.
So it just meant when you gave Balraj a list of checks, and he went on a check run to your dad.
It was a mixture of different things. Yeah. It's a mixture of different things. Many times I would write the check and just go to him in the room and he would sign it. We'd have a quick discussion and that was it. But when the restaurant was in a position where I could be here and work from here, at that time, a lot of times we sent.
Again, to keep us in context, you were saying, take me for a minute on to Pasha,
Yeah.
and you said that you had to get all the checks signed by this general manager. But was it you telling him, right, we want to have done, studied, whatever?
Not at all. Not at all.
So you weren't controlling anything?
Nothing.
Whereas in relation to the fit out of Dusty's, these were your choices.
The fit, yes.
And again, I'm paraphrasing, but you say that your father has pretty much said, where do I sign? I'm sorry.
Yes.
So where do I sign? I want to get back to where we were before you pivoted, because the fact that you saying is not changed in context. I understand you don't understand UAE law. You sign powers of attorney for Tamimi,
Yes. Yes.
and they go off to Dubai courts and they represent you. It's going on in Arabic. I take it that you don't.
Yes, I don't speak or read Arabic.
Don't speak or read Arabic. But they're not going to make things up, are they? Your lawyers.
I would hope not.
Well, I hope not too.
Yeah.
So, as a matter of common sense, if I say, yeah, have this bottle of water, you probably think I'm giving it to you, right?
Yes.
If I say, have this bottle of water, it's 5 dirham, I'm selling it. You would understand that. So, is it your evidence in this court that you had no idea that what your lawyers were saying on your behalf is, I don't have to pay back this money because it's paid to me for my 50% of MD hospitality legal hour?
Yes, I was not aware of what the submissions were. I met the lawyers, I told my story, and then the submissions happened.
How would your lawyers, without investigating advice, engage you or anything else? Where would your lawyers get the facts from about Pasha, about MD hospitality, about 25%, 24.9% of all that?
I had the documents.
So what you're saying is that this was just...
And emails. There were emails as well.
But you get it, don't you? You're an intelligent young man. You get that giving something for nothing and giving something for getting something, whether it's called consideration or compensation, are two very different things. Yes?
Yes, I understand that.
And the other Bentley, the one that unfortunately got trashed at 4 a.m., that, you said that had been given to you by Mahesh, didn't you?
Yes.
And you, the courts didn't accept that, did they? And they made you pay, what, 600,000 dirhams?
Yes, a little over that.
Say that again.
Little over 600,000.
The loan for 600,000. Sorry, you
A
say
little over
a
600.
little over 600,000.
Yeah.
And you say that you paid that. You borrowed. How did
Yes.
you borrow to pay that? Who lent you that money?
I borrowed it from the bank against the business.
Against the business.
Yes.
Well, that's good, isn't it? That you can get. I mean, that you can get funding against the business from the bank. Is this Mashrek?
No,
Not Mashrek.
not much.
Another bank.
Not the bank.
Which bank?
It was Emirates NBD.
What sort of facility are they? And if you think that's confidential, it needs to be written down on a piece of paper and given to the judge. Be my guess.
There's no other. I mean, they're my bank.
I'm just asking how much the facility is. Which I understand.
Oh, you mean you're asking me what my loan is total?
Yeah.
It's
Loan facility.
yeah. So as of now, I have about 1.3 million.
And that's placed on Dusty's business.
Yes. Yes.
And is it your own bank account or is it Dusty's?
It has to be Dusty's.
And right, so you were able to get 600,000 off that facility
I took yes, 500
to
and
pay
then
for a crashed Bentley.
yes.
Right, which is, they've got many things in Dubai restaurants. They've got a Lexus, but then they've got a crashed Bentley yet. That. So you're able to get facilities on this business.
Yes.
Forgive me, Your Honour, I'm just taking a minute to see if I can shorten my cross-examination. You were here when Balraj gave evidence today.
Yes.
Do you think that he's an honest man?
No.
Not now.
No, I said no.
Why not?
I don't believe that what he said was true on some aspects.
Well, perhaps most importantly, he gave evidence on his oath that you and he had discussions in which the word loan was used.
That's untrue.
What I believe he referred to is that he contrasted, or you were, in a conversation in a car, you were talking about your ambitions for Dustys, for it to do well and succeed. And you were contrasting the fact that you're now a working stiff, like the rest of us,
Yes.
and your younger brother, you felt was not. Was he lying about that?
Yes.
Complete fabrication.
I'm very capable of speaking to Balraj about my dreams and aspirations, but I don't think I would say anything about my younger brother or confirm that that was a loan at all.
And so are you saying that Balraj has come here to lie for Mahesh on his oath?
Everything he said, not most of it was untrue.
Most of it was untrue. In multiple ways. Can we just unpack that a little bit? Is there anything apart from him saying that he recalls it as a loan, recalling in some text that you were not present at? But let's just look at the social interaction. One of the things that he said is that he didn't actually see you together very often with your father, as you call it. You agree that he's telling the truth about that?
No, he was not telling the truth about that.
So he was lying about that. Was he lying about his bookkeeping work?
I'm not aware of how he kept his books or how many accounts he was taking care of. Our extent with him was if we needed a flight ticket booked or a visa done, something along those lines.
One of the things that he said is that as the expenditure was coming from the joint account, there was a bit of a shift from when typically you would just ask for the checks and he would get them, to when you would send him to ask for the bigger amounts. Is that a lie?
Yes.
So that was a lie too. Gosh. He tells a lot of lies, doesn't it, this man? On his oath. And when he said that he's had 100,000 dirham loan from your father,
I'm not aware of any of that.
He also said at the beginning you used to ask the claimant, your father, for the money. Later on, you just ask Balraj and he will get the claimant to issue the check.
The reason for him saying that was at this point in July, I was already at the restaurant, so it was easier for me to just ask him to do it because I was started to work at the restaurant. But there are times also when I was at home and I would just write the check and go to Dad's room and be like, can you sign this? So there was no problem between me and the claimant at all.
At that time?
At that time.
So, are you aware, still on the subject of Balraj Tourani, that there was an incident in December, 14th December of 2017, within the jurisdiction of Al Barsha police station? There was an incident in which it was said that Balraj, of Indian nationality, is 42 years old, and the second culprit Rekha Tourani, of Indian nationality, who was 54 years old, hit each other and caused injuries described, and that there was in Balraj, in your mother's case, that she had committed a blatant act of shame, showing her middle finger towards the other culprit, and there were accusations and counter-accusations back and forth. Were you a witness to that incident?
Yes.
And you're aware that in the end, the police did accept that there had been any middle finger and FU by your mother or any assault by Balraj, and appeared to accept the evidence of Mr. Sousa that there was no crime committed. You're aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And where you say you witnessed it at first hand? Were you
Yes.
there?
Yes.
Where did it happen?
It happened just at the gate of our villa.
In Emirates Hills?
Yes.
And why?
They were trying to enter the house.
Who?
Barraj, and I believe at that point we had a security guard, and there were 8 other security guards that showed up. So it was quite a confrontation.
No,
And we did not want them to enter the house because Mom was a lady and it was her house.
and who was there at the time living?
Sorry?
Who was living in the house at the time? You, your brother and your mum?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
No, not at that time.
No one at all?
No. The claimant I believe, had just been arrested at that point.
And again, he had been. Is it your? Are you saying that Balraj physically attacked your mother? Is that what you were saying?
No, I'm not. What happened was it was a confrontation, and there was a gentleman who actually tried to grab something from her, and that was the statement.
It was a gentleman.
He was the head of the security company.
So apart from saying that Balraj is a liar, you're not saying that he's a violent man.
No, I'm not saying he's a violent man.
Good. I'm glad we could clear that up.
I wasn't clear about this earlier question. Can you go backwards a bit? The question about the confrontation at the
Well,
police station.
Your Honour, I can take you to it.
No.
And if Your Honour would open, and the witness could be given
Yeah.
file 9.
File 9.
And turn to
File 9.
divider 95.
Again? 95. Tab 95.
This, Your Honour, is a translation of a judgment of what I take to be.
Okay, this is okay. If you had said this is okay, but what was recorded was Balraj had a confrontation with Tourani. That's why I couldn't.
Oh, I beg your pardon. No,
I think there was some.
No. But again, it's why we're better off sticking to given names. It was indeed a Tourani, but it was with Rekha.
Rekha, yeah. No, you go reverse.
Sorry, in the transcript.
You reverse backwards. I think you were. Never mind. It's all clarified. Clarified now. It's not Tourani. It's between Rekha and Balraj. That's okay.
That was the alleged altercation. Balraj also gave evidence this morning about how he, having known your father, having worked for him since the year before you were born, I think, 1987. So he knew him pretty well. He said that your father was getting progressively upset at the overspend on the budget, the fit-out budget.
That's also untrue.
Now, that's a complete lie. So
Yes.
you say my client was perfectly happy to keep signing out these checks without knowing whether this fit-out, where it was going to end.
He was well aware of AMBB, the contractor. AMBB was the main fit-out contractor, Your Honor, and the owner and the head of projects had visited us at home with the claimant present because they're family, they're friends, and that is how the initial discussion started. We even had a follow-up meeting with regards to the budget. So he was very well aware of what it was. And I also remember there were times where we had phone conversations with the head of projects when me and the claimant were in the car together.
So what it really comes down to is this, is that you think that the sea change in his relations with you happened in this last 2 weeks of August 2015. That was the critical time frame.
Yes.
You're clearly running what is now a reasonably mature business. Yes? It's a tough market to buy, and you've succeeded in that tough environment with a very nice niche, if I may say so, that's there in Currency House, making a bit of currency. Now, would you not think that repaying this man who has generously funded you for almost your entire adult life? I mean, yes, I realise you were 11 or 12 when they started dating, but I mean, you were 17, not a kid. You can't get any longer. You can get a driving licence here in 17 countries.
No.
You can't. Wouldn't it do a great deal for your self-worth to just say, look, this was a business enterprise. This wasn't the fun games. It wasn't the parties. It wasn't all of the Bollywood extravaganzas. This was you, Dusty, setting out on your own. Would it be sensible to have a discussion with your father to show him the numbers? Beg your pardon, the man you call your father. Show him the numbers and discuss repay over a period of time.
Like we've said, a settlement is definitely something that we're open to. However, our biggest concern is, at this point, I'm not, contrary to what you may think, I'm not making that much money, and there is no way that I'm going to be able to pay that type of money.
But there hasn't even been a discussion about paying, because the problem is that you say, subject to things that you think the lawyers may have got wrong in Dubai courts, you said, look, I was never going to pay this money back.
Correct.
And as long as that's your position, then that discussion's never likely to happen, is it?
The idea of opening Dusty's, Your Honor, was when I did Pasha, I did Tim Hortons, we were the franchisees. So we would sit on the other side of the fence and we would pay the principal franchisor, which was Tim Hortons in Canada, and Pasha in Ibiza, principal amounts every year, and they would get a percentage of the revenue. The idea behind Dusty's was to create your own brand and then open multiple outlets. And at that point is when you look and see, that's when there's real value and money making coming in. You're looking at like 10, 15 years down the line when we have 4 or 5 venues.
And
And
I understand it's an ambition, but is
Yes.
what you're saying about, Tim Horton is some sort of recycled Canadian.
coffee.
Yeah, I know, but he was a sportsman. Is that you pay a fancy fee, which takes a hell of a lot off your margin, right?
Yes.
And Pasha, same deal, right? So you wanted to own the marriage and not have to.
Yes, the idea was, I had a discussion with the claimant about this, and he also felt it was a good idea. It was to be on the other side of the fence. And for me to be in a position now where a claim's being brought, it's disastrous because I don't have the capability or the ability to even if I work super hard, I'd never be able to come up with that type of money to pay it off.
I'm breaking several rules here, in a sense, and neither His Honour nor my learned friend is stopping me, because normally, in our strange formal ways of doing things behind curtains and hypocritically, we don't talk about settlement in court. But is what you're saying is that you would like to have a commercial settlement if you can find one, but you don't really believe that either you can afford it, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think I can afford it.
Do you, however, accept that this is a case just between two grown-ups, forget the relationships, forget the family, and it's a commercial dispute?
Not at all.
But you describe your ambitions. You've done something fantastic, right? Which is, I've no idea what the percentage is, but most startups fail within the first 3 years. You've had a huge leg up because you've had no rents to pay for 3 years and so forth, but you're in the game. Now, is this a time to think about it as a business and not to have to get bank loans which instead of putting the money into the business you're spending on trash ventures? It would be a good outcome, wouldn't it? This is what His Honour is trying to encourage.
Yes, like I said, I'm open to discussions.
May I? I'm conscious of the time.
4 o'clock now.
And I think
We have been here for the last 2 hours. I think we should give a break to...
I think we should, and I think I'm probably done. But
You're done now?
Well, probably, but if we have a short break...
Okay,
now,
let's
it'll
have
be
a short
chance
break.
to-
10-15 minutes break. Thank you.
All rise.